Welcome to this video. We are from Group 2 and we're going to present the material about phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantic, and pragmatic in Intro to General Linguistics subject. But before that, let us introduce ourselves. My name is English Literature and PM 21810020.
Hello, let me introduce myself. My name is Tiara Sari Subakti with MPM 2181000. I'm an English student semester 6 in Pragmatics and Medan. Nice to see you.
Okay, we're talking about Introduction to General Linguistics. First one is, what is linguistics? Linguistics is the scientific study of language, including language structure, historical development, and its relationship to the human mind and society. Apart from that, linguistics is an academic discipline that studies aspects of human language such as phonology, morphology, syntax, semantics, pragmatics, and others. The relationship. Basically, language and communication are formed from speech into words and then into sentence or utterance. In this way, linguistics forms a guideline or sequence for language and communication to occur. On the other hand, semantic and pragmatic are interrelated and interact with another linguistic disciplines in understanding and interpreting language comprehensively. Phonology studies the sound system of language, which is the basis for semantic meaning, and then morphology studies the internal structure of words, which contributes to semantic meaning. Then syntax studies sentence structure, which form the basis for semantic meanings. Semantic studies the literal meaning of words and sentence. Discourse studies the broader structure and coherence of text. And finally, pragmatic consider how context influence the interpretation of the meaning of sounds, word, sentence, and wider text. In linguistics, we are talking about phonetics. What is phonetics? According to Lifewords in 201, phonetics is the science of sound production that has functioned very based on the purpose of the study itself. One is vowels. In phonetics, vowels are sound produced in open vocal tract, holding air to the throat freely. They are classified based on three main terms: height, vagueness, and rounding. Height. First is high vowels. Tongue is positioned close to the roof of mouth. Example is including I in beat and U is boot. In 2 is mid vowels. Tongue in position midway between high and low. Example is A in bait and O in boat. Low vowels. Tongue in position lower in the mouth. Example include cat and father. Second is vagueness. Vagueness refers to the position of the highest part of the tongue in relation to the back of the mouth. 2 front vowels. Tongue in position towards the front of the mouth. Example is I and E. Central vowels. Tongue in position at the center of the mouth. Example is about. Then the last is rounding. Rounding refers to the shape of the lips during vowel productions. Round vowels, lips are rounded. Example U and O. A rounded vowels, lips are not round. Example is E and A. Vowels can also categorized based on their duration, and stability of articulations. First one is monophthongs, singles, unchanging vowel sounds. Example is E and tie, is and C, and A in that. Diphthongs, vowel sounds that transition from one position to another within the same syllables. Example is A in buy and A is boy. Triphthongs, sequence of three vowel sounds within the same syllables. Example is the fire and in hour. And then we're talking about phonology. What is phonology? Based on explanation from Abdul Chair, the term phonology is formed from the word phon, which means sound, while logy means science. So in general, it can be said that phonology means the science of studying the sound of language that are generally used by humans. First one, we're talking about diachronic phonology, also known as historical phonology. Is the study of sound change and modification in speech sounds and sound system over time, usually in the present. For example, great vowel shift in the Middle English. The long vowels is named word like name is named and time is time Second is synchronic phonology, also known as descriptive phonology, a study of sound pattern and language at specific time. First is two-letter blends. They are from blank, black, blue, blister, like, and bless. FR is fried, French, frank, frolic, rigid, friend. And then ST or stare, store, steer, stick, stuck, stroke. Second is three letters blend. Is school, schedule, and scholar. And then shrimp is for shrimp, string, and shrub. And then SPL or splash, split, and splat. In phonology, we are talking about also phoneme are the basic distinctive sound in a language. They have consonants and vowels like P, T, K, B, B, G, F, S, H, and et al. Allophones is also variant pronunciation of phonemes in specific context. For example, voiceless stops is P, T, T, simple like that. And then the last is suprasegmental phonology. It's also known as prosodic phonology. It's concerned with the factors that extend beyond individual speech sounds or segments and function at a higher level of linguistic organization. They have four types. First one is stress, refers to the focus placed on the specific syllables or word within a sentence. For example, English records noun versus record verb. Records with S is an article in behind is noun, refers to the noun, and record conjunction to the verb or intonation to the verb. And then intonation refers to the rising and falling pitch pattern in the speech. A rising intonation and the end of sentence denotes a question. Basically, in the question like, how was your day? What is your name? It's like that. And then pitch refers to the relative highness and loudness of a sound. For example, in the modern Chinese, different tones in high, rising, and falling after the meaning of the words. It's like A, E, I is a different meaning. Durations is the amount of time a sound or syllables it pronounced. For example, telephone has longer stress syllables duration than telegraph. Next one, we're talking about morphology. What is morphology? Morphology is the field of linguistics that identifies the basic units of language as grammatical units, studying the complexity of the word form and the influence of change in word form on groups or words and their meaning. In other words, morphology studies the complexity of word forms and the function of word change, both grammatical and semantic functions. First, we're going to go about root and base. The root is a word or word element or morpheme from which other words grows, usually through the addition and prefix and suffix. For example, happiness, the root is happy. Playful, the root is play, and lovable is the root love. This one is base. The form of a word to which prefix and suffix can be added to create a new word. For example, unhappiness. Un is the prefix added to the best, happy to form the meaning of the word. Running, run is the best, which is given the affix and behind in to perform the verb to run. Unit in a language or the minimal distinctive unit of grammar. In morpheme, we're talking about free morpheme and bound morpheme. In free morpheme, they are lexical and number one in the text. Free morpheme is a morpheme that can stand alone with having to be attached with another morphemes. They have several basic types like noun, inverb, adjective, adverb, pronouns, conjunction, preposition, and determiners. Okay, the part of free morpheme is lexical morphemes. It's a morpheme that can stand alone and it can show that what we mean. For example, in verb, noun, and adjective. Verb is we can say see, cat, and see. In noun, we can say man, chair, desk. Adjective, we can like beautiful, bad, and happy. Functional morphemes is the morpheme that can stand alone but cannot show what we mean clearly. Functional morpheme divided into four parts. First, in conjunctions, but, and, or, nor, preposition in, on, at, of, under, article a, and d, pronoun she, it, I, you, and we. Bound morphemes are the morpheme that cannot stand alone but must be attached to another morphemes. Bound morphemes are divided into two, namely derivational morphemes and inflectional morphemes. First one is derivational morphemes. Morphemes with this If bound or affixed to another morphemes to form a new word or morpheme to the former word with grammar, they are different from the previous word. And then inflectional morphemes are morphemes that are bound or affixed to another morpheme only to identify grammar, not to produce new words or form words with grammar that are different from previous words. For example, book. Book is one, but if you change with adding s in behind books, jadi dua. And then some like table is tables, caps into caps. In the interpersonal morpheme, we are talking about affixes. They are in suffix, prefix, and infix. Affixes are linguistic elements that are attached to the base word to alter its meaning or to create a new word. They can be added to the beginning, like prefix and suffix behind, and then middle infix of a word. First one is prefix. It are affixes added to the beginning of the word to change its meaning. They often indicate negation, repetition, or directions. Example, indicating negation, unkind, unhappy, untie, re, indicating repetition, redo, rebuild, revisit. This, indicating negation or reversal, disappear, disconnect, disapprove. And then two suffix are affixes add to the end of the word to change its meaning, often indicating a change in grammatical function or a new word category. For example, indicating a person who performs an action, teacher, writer, singer, and then able, capability or capacity, enjoyable, reliable, lovable, and then cushion. They come from verb, communication, and exploration. Communication, the root base is communicate, and exploration is root base is explorate. The last one is infix, are less common in English compared to prefix and suffix. They are inserted within a word to modify its meaning as forms of new word. Example is like focused in a past tense. From Tagalog, a language that uses infix, like Billy is by becomes bumili, bow.
Okay, let's continue to part 4 about syntax. So the first one, we should know about the definition of syntax. So what is syntax? Syntax is the part of linguistics that studies the structure and formation of sentences. It explains how words and phrases are arranged to form correct sentences. A sentence could make no sense and still be correct from the syntax point of view as long as words are in their appropriate spots and agree with each other. Okay, the next one, there is the importance of syntax. There are two importances of syntax in this slide. The first one, the syntax helps us to understand the correct sentence structure and makes communication clearer. The second one, understanding syntax allows us to express ideas effectively in writing and conversation. We move to the elements of syntax. There are 4 elements of syntax. The first one, phrase. The second one, clause. The third one, part of sentence. And the last one, sentence structure. I'm going to explain more about phrase. So phrase is a group of words without a subject or predicate. Phrase can be divided into 5. The first phrase is noun phrase. Noun phrase is like the man, some books, goodbye, or ghost phrase. For example, in sentence, the young man threw the old dog a fish. The second phrase is verb phrase. Verb phrase is like will do, can be done, was working, have woken up. For example, in sentence, he has been singing. So, has been singing is the verb phrase. Okay, the third is adjective phrase. Adjective phrase is like too happy, very big, quite serious, very kid. For example, in sentence, she speaks quite serious. So the quite serious is the adjective phrase. And then the fourth, there is adverb phrase. Adverb phrase is like very slowly, very carefully, and too fast. For example, in sentence, he ran very quickly. So very quickly is the adverb phrase. And then the last one, there is preposition phrase. Preposition phrase is like on Main Street, at store, by the lake, at the bathroom floor. For example, in sentence, he arrived by plane. So by plane is the preposition phrase. We move to the clause. The clause is a group of words that contains a subject and a verb. So clause can be divided into 2. The first clause is independent clause. Independent clause is a clause that makes sense on its own as a sentence. So we can say like it can stand alone. For example, in sentence, I went to school. And then the second clause is dependent clause. Dependent clause doesn't make sense on its own as a sentence, so it cannot stand alone. For example, in sentence, although I wasn't feeling well, I went to school. Sentence structure. Sentence structure is a group of words that expresses a complete thought. Sentence structure can be divided into four. The first is simple sentence. Simple sentence is a sentence that has one subject and one verb, and it expresses a complete idea. For example, John sleeps. The next one is compound sentence. Compound sentence is a sentence that joins two simple sentences together. It uses words like and, but, or to connect these ideas. For example, I like ice cream, but I don't like cake. The next, there is complex sentence. A complex sentence is a sentence that joins a simple sentence or a complete thought with an extra part that cannot stand alone. For example, I like to read because it helps me to learn new things. The last one, compound complex sentence. A compound complex sentence is like a mix of different kinds of sentences. It has more than one action and also includes more information. For example, I like to read when it rains, I stay indoors. Part of sentence. There are four parts of a sentence. The first is subject. A subject is one talked about in a sentence. It is either a noun or a pronoun. And then the second one, there is predicate. What is said about the subject in a sentence is called the predicate of a sentence. The third one, object. Object is the noun or pronoun that receives the action of the verb. And then the last one, complement. Complement is a word or group of words that completes the meaning of the predicate. It can be noun, pronoun, adjective, or adverb. For example, in here, they were studying English yesterday. So the subject in here is they. The predicate is were studying. The object is English, and the complement is yesterday. The next topic, the part 5, is about semantic. So what is semantic? Semantic is the study of meaning in language. Semantic is the area of linguistics that analyzes the meaning of words, phrases, and sentences in language. We know that language is used to express meanings, which can be understood by others, but meanings exist in our minds, and we can express what is in our minds through the spoken and written forms of language, as well as through the gestures and action. Example of semantic. So here a short conversation for the example of semantic. The speaker says, "There's a new Korean restaurant on Sutomo Street." And then the Hebrew replies, "Really? Thank you for telling me." And from that conversation, we can decide that the semantic meaning is the speaker simply informs the hearer that there's a new Korean restaurant on Sutomo Street. Types of semantic. There are 3 types of semantics. The first is formal semantics. Formal semantics is the study of grammatical meaning in natural language. In other words, it intends to define the meaning of words and phrases based on its grammatical structure. And then the second, there is lexical semantics. Lexical semantics is the study of word meaning. It establishes meaning to words based on their relationship to other words in the sentence, as well as their compositional structure. And then the last one, there is conceptual semantics. Conceptual semantics is the study of words at their core. It focuses on establishing universal definitions for words before they are taken into context. Next, there are types of meaning. Types of meaning are divided into 8. The first is lexical meaning. This refers to the meaning of individual words in a language. For example, the word dog refers to a domesticated mammal commonly kept as a pet. And then the second, grammatical meaning. This pertains to the relationship between words in a sentence and how they contribute to the overall structure and meaning. For instance, the sentence, "She is reading a book." The grammatical structure indicates that she is the subject, is reading is the predicate, and a book is the object. The next type is contextual meaning. This involves understanding the meaning of a word or phrase based on the context in which it is used. For example, the word bank can refer to a financial institution or the side of a river, depending on the context. And then the next is referential and non-referential meaning. Referential meaning refers to the direct reference of a word to something in the real world, while non-referential meaning is more abstract and symbolic. An example of referential meaning is tree, which directly refers to a type of plant, while non-referential meaning can be found in a word like freedom, which represents an abstract concept. Okay, fifth, denotative and connotative meaning. Denotative meaning is the literal or dictionary definition of a word, while connotative meaning involves the emotional or cultural associations attached to a word. For example, the word home denotes a place where one lives, but it can also connote feelings of comfort and security. And then the next, there are conceptual meaning and associative meaning. Conceptual meaning refers to the core idea or concept represented by a word, while associative meaning involves the additional meaning or associations that come to mind when hearing or using a word. For example, the word apple conceptually refers to a type of fruit, but it may also evoke associations with health and freshness. The next is word meaning and term meaning. Word meaning refers to the meaning of individual words, while term meaning involves the meaning of a specific term or phrases used in a particular context or field. For example, in legal terminology, the term due process has a specific meaning related to fair treatment under the law. And then the last meaning is meaning of idioms and proverbs. Idioms are expressions with meanings that cannot be understood from the individual words used, while proverbs are traditional sayings that offer advice or wisdom. An example of an idiom is kick the bucket, which means to die. And then, while proverb like a stitch in time saves nine advises on the importance of timely action. Lexical relation. Lexical relation are divided into 8. Number 1, synonymy. Synonymy refers to words or phrases that have similar meanings. For example, big and large are synonyms because they both convey the idea of size. Number 2, antonymy. Antonymy involves words that have opposite meanings. An example of antonyms is hot and cold. Number 3, hyponymy. Hyponymy is a hierarchical relationship where one word or hyponym is a specific type of another word or hypernym. For instance, rose is a hyponym of flower. And then, number 4, polysemy. Polysemy occurs when a word has multiple related meanings. An example is the word bank, which can refer to a financial institution or the site of a river. Number 5, there is homonymy. Homonymy refers to words that are spelled or pronounced the same but have different meanings. An example is bat, which can mean a flying mammal or a sport equipment. Number 6, meronymy. Meronymy is a relationship where one word represents a part of another word. For example, wheel is a meronym of a car. And then number 7, metonymy. Metonymy involves using a word to represent something closely related to it. An example is using cloud to refer to a monarch. And then the last one, collocation. Collocation is word partnership or words that are commonly used together by native speakers. For example, bread and butter, table and chair, cause and event. The next topic is about semantic roles. Semantic roles are divided into 9. Number 1, agent. Agent is the entity or somebody or something that performs an action, or we can say the doer of the action. For example, Jack was running, so the agent is Jack. And then number 2, thief, sometimes called the patient, is the entity that is involved in or affected by the action. For example, the ball is red, so theme in here is red. And then number 3, there is experiencer. Experiencer is the entity or a person who experiences a feeling, perception, or state. For example, John feels happy. John is the person and happy is the feeling. Number 4, instrument. Instrument is the entity that is used to perform an action. Example, the girl opened the door with the key. So the key is the instrument. And number 5, a beneficiary is the living entity that benefits from the action of a verb. For example, Anthony sold the car for a friend. So because Anthony sold the car, so his friend getting a car. His friend is getting a car. Okay, and then number 6, location. Location is the place where the action takes place. For example, Siti went to Brastagi last week. So the Brastagi is the location in this sentence. Number 7, temporal or time. Temporal is when an event or action takes place. For example, I'll go shopping in the afternoon. So in the afternoon is the temporal or time in the sentence. And then number 8, source. Source is the entity from which something moves or originates. For example, in here, John is coming from Chicago. So the Chicago is the source in the sentence. And then the last one, go. Go is the entity towards which something moves or is directed. For example, Khalid is driving to school. So to school is the goal in this sentence. Okay, the last topic is about pragmatic. So what is pragmatic? Pragmatics is the study of how context influences how we interpret and make meaning of communication. It is often described as the study of language in use. Sometimes the literal meaning of what is said isn't the implied meaning. Pragmatics goes beyond the literal meaning of words and phrases to understand the intended message based on the factors like social situation, relationship between the speakers, cultural context, situational context, and the way the words are said. We move to the common topics in pragmatics. So there are 4 topics in pragmatics. The first, there is speech acts. Speech acts are divided into 3. The first is locutionary act. Locutionary act refers to the literal meaning of the words used in a speech act. This includes the production of sounds, words, and sentences that convey a specific message. For example, saying it is raining outside is a locutionary act that conveys the information about the weather. The next act is illocutionary acts. Illocutionary acts refers to the intended meaning or purpose behind a speech act. This includes the speaker's intention in making a statement, such as making a request, giving an order, or expressing a belief. For example, saying, "Can you pass me the salt?" is an illocutionary act that conveys a request for someone to pass the salt. The last act is perlocutionary act. Perlocutionary act refers to the effect or impact of a speech act on a listener or recipient. This includes the response or reaction elicited by the speech act. For example, saying, "I'm sorry for your loss," is a perlocutionary act that may elicit a sense of comfort or sympathy from the listener. Okay, the second topic is politeness. Politeness in language involves using linguistic strategies to maintain social harmony and show respect towards others. Examples include using polite forms of address, like "excuse me," "could you please help me," or maybe expressing gratitude like "thank you so much for your help," and using indirect language to make requests like "I was wondering if you could possibly lend me a hand." The third topic in pragmatic is implication. Implication refers to the meaning that is implied by an utterance rather than explicitly stated. Examples include saying, "It's cold in here," to indirectly ask someone to close the window, or saying, "I'm thirsty," to imply that you would like a drink. And then the last topic in pragmatic is deixis. Deixis are divided into 3 deixis. The first is person deixis. Person deixis involves words or phrases that refers to the participants in a conversation. For examples, pronouns like I, you, he, she, and they. The meaning of these pronouns changes based on who is speaking, who is being addressed, and who is being referred to in a specific context. The next deixis is spatial deixis. Spatial deixis involves words or phrases that refer to the location of objects or people in relation to the speaker or the context of the conversation. Examples include words like here, there, this, that, near, and far. These spatial deixis expressions help establish the spatial relationship between entities in a conversation. The last deixis is temporal deixis. Temporal deixis involves words or phrases that refers to specific points in time or temporal relationship. Examples include words like now, then, today, tomorrow, yesterday, soon, and later. This temporal deictic expression helps situate events or actions in time and establish temporal relationship within a conversation. Okay, we move to the examples of pragmatic. The first example, if one person asked, "What do you want to eat?" and another responded, "Ice cream is good this time of year." The second person did not explicitly say what they wanted to eat, but their statement implies that they want to eat ice cream. Another example, "I'm hungry," semantically means that feeling when someone doesn't eat for a certain period of time. Pragmatically, depending on the context, it means, "Can we postpone the meeting?" or "Let's go to a restaurant?" or maybe, "I couldn't understand your speech." Another example of pragmatic. So here a short conversation, for example of pragmatic, like the semantic before. The speaker says, "There's a new Korean restaurant on Sutomo Street." And then the hearer replies, "Really? Thank you for telling me." So while in semantic meaning, maybe the speaker just want to give an information that there is a new Korean restaurant on Sutomo Street. But in pragmatic meaning, maybe the speaker suggests to trying that new restaurant. Conclusion. In linguistics, the study of language is divided into several key components, including phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantic, and pragmatics. Each of these components plays a crucial role in understanding and analyzing language structure and meaning. Phonetics. Phonetics is the study of the physical sounds of speech, including how sounds are produced, transmitted, and perceived. It focuses on the articulation and acoustic properties of speech sounds without regard to their linguistic function. Phonology. Phonology is the study of how sounds function within a particular language system. It examines the pattern and rules governing the organization of sounds in a language, including phonemes, allophones, and phonological processes. And then morphology. Morphology is the study of the structure of words and how they are formed. It analyzes the internal structure of words, including morphemes, the smallest units of meaning, and how they combine to create complex words. Syntax. Syntax is the study of sentence structure and the rules governing how words are combined to form meaningful sentences. It examines the relationship between words and phrase in a sentence and how they are organized to convey meaning. Semantics. Semantics is the study of meaning in language. It focuses on how words, phrases, and sentences convey meaning and how meaning is interpreted by speakers and listeners. It explores the relationship between linguistic expressions and the concept they represent. Pragmatics. Pragmatics is the study of language used in context. It examines how language is used in social interactions to achieve specific communicative goals. Pragmatics consider factors such as speaker intention, context, and the effect of language on the listener. In conclusion, the components of phonetics, phonology, morphology, syntax, semantic, and pragmatic work together to provide a comprehensive understanding of language, structure, meaning, and use. By studying the components, linguists can analyze and interpret language at various levels of analysis, from sounds and words to sentences and discourse.